3. Out of everything you did last week, every quote you compared, every contract you read, every email you sent, every report you built, 3 tasks were genuinely, permanently yours. 3 tasks that no model, no platform, no vendor demo, no roadmap slide is coming for. Not this year, not in 5 years. 3. And if that number makes you uncomfortable, sit with it for a second. Because I don't think it means what most people assume it means. It doesn't mean your job is small. It means the ratio has been wrong for your entire career. Look, for 28 years, I've watched experienced procurement people. People who can read a supplier's balance sheet and their body language in the same meeting. And I've watched them spend most of their week doing work that never required either. We called it the job. It was the overhead on the job. Today, we named the 3. And then I'll tell you about the month I got 4 hours back and wasted every single one of them. This is The Smarter Supply Chain, Episode 4. Quick reset for anyone joining here. Every task in procurement gets one of 3 ratings. Red, AI does it, fully, quote, normalization, first draft tenders, routine correspondence, contract clause extraction. That was Episode 2. Amber, AI does the gathering, you do the deciding, supplier research, spend analysis, market monitoring, tender scoring. That was Episode 3. Green, AI cannot touch it, not because the technology is immature, because the thing being produced isn't information, it's judgment, it's relationship, it's accountability, and those 3 don't compress. Red gives you time back. Amber makes you faster. Green is the reason you have the title. When I mapped my own week honestly, only 3 tasks landed squarely in green. I'll admit that was a bruising exercise. But here's the truth. The number isn't small because the work is simple. The number is small because for most of our careers, the strategic work and the administrative work both needed a human. So we never bothered separating them. Now the admin doesn't need us, and what's left is exposed. 3 tasks: negotiation, risk decisions, relationship development. Let's take them one at a time. Green, completely, and for the foreseeable future. Now, I will make you dramatically better prepared for a negotiation, should cost analysis, market benchmarks, a BATNA framework, counterparty research that used to take an analyst and a database subscription. All of that is red and amber work, and you should be doing every bit of it with the tools. But the negotiation itself. The negotiation is the moment you realize the number they're defending isn't the number they need. It's the moment you hear the pause before they answer a question about capacity. And you decide, in real time, on nothing but pattern, that they've lost a customer they haven't announced yet. It's the silence you hold, or don't. Look, I sat in a room once with a supplier asking for a 9% increase, defending it with a raw materials index. The index was real, the increase was real, and about 40 minutes in, their commercial director said something almost offhand, that they were consolidating the site in the second half. 9% stopped being a price conversation. It became a continuity conversation. No model in the world had that in a report. It wasn't public. It was said out loud. Once, by a tired man at 4 p.m. You cannot prompt for that. You can only be in the room, prepared enough to have attention left over, and experienced enough to know what you just heard. Second green task, risk. And here's the distinction that matters, because it's where people get this wrong. AI is genuinely good, increasingly good, at surfacing risk signals. financial distress indicators, geopolitical exposure, concentration risk across your supply base. Early warning from public data. Use it for exactly that. It's amber work, and it's excellent. The decision that follows the signal is not automatable. Your key supplier is showing distress. Do you dual source now and signal to them that you've lost confidence, possibly accelerating the collapse you're trying to avoid? Do you go to tender, or do you work with them through it because you've seen this shape before and you know they come out the other side? 3 defensible answers. Different consequences. Someone has to be accountable for the one you pick. And accountability is not a burden the technology is going to take off you. It's the definition of the professional role. The data can come from a machine. The decision has a name on it, and the name is yours. 3rd green task, and the one that's been underfunded in every organization I've worked in. Here's the truth. The best commercial outcomes of my 28 years didn't come from clever contracts. They came from suppliers who were genuinely invested in mutual success, rather than merely contractually obligated to it. That doesn't get written into a clause, it gets earned, slowly, through transparency, through commercial honesty that most buyers aren't willing to practice, and through a lot of unglamorous conversations that don't appear in anybody's savings report. I cannot build trust. It cannot have a difficult conversation well. It cannot read the room in a quarterly review and know when to push and when to shut up and listen. And it cannot build the informal intelligence network that tells you a supplier is in trouble 3 months before their account manager does. Permanently green. Now the part I promise you at the top, the month I wasted. When I first put these tools to work properly, I reclaimed somewhere between 4 and 6 hours a week from the red category. Real hours. Measured, not estimated. Do you want to know what I did with them? More email, more reactive work, more of the same administration, just executed faster. Net result after month 1. A modest productivity improvement, and absolutely no change in what I was actually worth to the business. I call it the treadmill trap. AI makes the admin faster without reducing the proportion of your week spent on admin. You process more quotes, you draft more documents, you handle more correspondence, and you run faster on exactly the same treadmill. This, I think, is why so many organizations adopt AI, report a modest efficiency gain, and quietly conclude the whole thing was overhyped. The tools worked, the reallocation never happened. Break time equals quote 0.7 seconds, quote slash greater than month 2. I did it deliberately. I picked 3 supplier relationships that had been running on autopilot for 2 years. Compliant, commercially reasonable, entirely unmanaged. And I put the reclaimed hours into them. More frequent contact, better performance conversations, genuine curiosity about their capacity pressures, sharing our forward plan so they could actually plan. The commercial outcomes the following quarter were measurably better. Not because the AI did anything there, it didn't. Because the AI made it possible to do the green work properly, for the first time in 2 years. So here's the exercise. 10 minutes, and it's the highest return thing in this entire series. Before you deploy another prompt, write down the green work in your role that is chronically underfunded. Be specific, not relationships. A name. The supplier you've managed reactively for 2 years. The category strategy still running on last year's assumptions. The negotiation you walked into underprepared because there was no time. the stakeholder you've been avoiding since the restructure. That list is where the hours go. And then ask the question that decides whether any of this was worth it. What will I do differently with the time this saves? If the answer is handle more volume of the same work, you're optimizing the treadmill. If the answer names a green task, you're using AI strategically. And there is no third option. That's the framework, end to end. Red gives the time back. Amber makes you sharper. Green is where the time is supposed to go. If you want the whole system written down, all 12 tasks rated, the prompts, the 30-day plan, the procurement professionals. Our playbook is free at thesmartersupplychain.com. No paywall, no upsell. 39 pages of what actually works. And while you're there, the newsletter goes out every Tuesday. One practitioner's read on what's real and what's marketing. I'm Carlo. This is the Smarter Supply Chain. The tools can do more than the hype suggests and less than the hype promises. Our job is to know the difference and use them where it counts.